What's up, everybody? Justin here, back with sadly another tribute show for another fallen wrestler. This one fucking hurts. It hurts big time. It was pretty shocking to hear that he got sick after he had a hip surgery, complications from a hip replacement, I believe. And I believe I heard he had a blood clot in his body, and he had 3 heart attacks, and sadly he was put on life support. And then horrible news. Monday morning, Kevin Nash, his boy, his brother, his best friend, big sexy Kevin Nash. This is hard to talk about without getting emotional. Obviously, you can tell around me that I loved the NWO. Before the NWO, this guy was so fucking great. Before the NWO existed, this guy was a star. Way before the NWO was even thought of. This guy was a fucking star. He was a major player in the WWF. He was a top guy. He had the world champ. Let's say it was Bret Hart or Kevin Nash, the world champ, and right under the world champ you had guys like this, Razor Ramon, right under the world champ. He was one of the top guys. He was the Intercontinental champ many times, 4 times. He had great matches. My God, he had epic matches on pay-per-views and ladder matches against Shawn Michaels that will be remembered forever. Sadly, we lost one of the greats, and I've said that in a lot of tribute shows. This guy was my childhood. Razor Ramon. I first got this figure in 1995. And he's pretty beat up and dirty. I had to glue his head back on with super glue because I wrestled with him so much and had matches with him growing up that his head fell off. Oh man. I wrestled with him so much and used this figure so much in the ring that the Razor Ramon on his tights wore off. But my God, Razor Ramon. Razor Ramon was great. He was a star. He was a superstar. Before he went to join the NWO and start, Scott Hall started the fucking Monday Night Wars, in my opinion. He started them. If you don't know, if you weren't alive to see Razor Ramon in his prime, or if you weren't alive for the NWO Monday Night Wars era, I feel sorry for you. It was one of the best times to be a wrestling fan. In my opinion, and it should be the opinion of many other wrestling fans, Scott Hall kicked off the Monday Night Wars. The Monday Night War really, to me, truly started when Scott Hall showed up on Nitro. On a Memorial Day episode of Nitro in '96 in May. Gets on the mic, goes to the announcers, Larry Zbyszko's like, "What the hell? What are you doing here?" Scott Hall grabs a mic, gets in the ring. A lot of the fans were shocked, quiet. I would hope a lot of those fans knew he was Razor Ramon. If they did not, they're bad wrestling fans for not watching the competition. Gets on the mic. And one of his legendary catch phrases. "Hey, yo." Gets on the mic. "Hey, yo. You know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here." Then he does a walk-off and a mic drop. That started all off. I mean, fans' minds were blown. If you were watching Nitro and you were a fan of WWF, and you heard Scott Hall, well, nobody knew him as Scott Hall. He was Razor Ramon. If you heard Razor Ramon is on Nitro, you were shocked. I was shocked. I was like, holy fuck. He jumped. He's in WCW again because he's there once before. Which, that is a funny story. Scott Hall was in WCW in 91. Got out of his contract, I think, or he left. But anyways, the Diamond Stud, Scott Hall in WCW 91, the Diamond Stud was basically Razor Ramon. He did all the same moves. He did his choke slam, he did fall away slam, did the backdrop off the top. He did the Razor's Edge, which was called, I believe, the Diamond Death Drop. He did the Razor's Edge. He had the character. Seriously, watch it back. The Diamond Stud was Razor Ramon before Razor Ramon was born. He did everything Razor did except for the accent that he came up with from Scarface and Tony Montana. I got a shoot interview. Let me show you it for a second. I have a shoot interview with us that I bought years ago with Scott Hall. And now I'm very grateful I have that. So here it is. Here's my Scott Hall shoot interview I got probably like 10 years ago maybe. Or longer ago. I don't remember, but here it is. 2 discs. Talking about his career. Man, it was great to hear Scott Hall talk about his career and how he came up with Razor Ramon's gimmick. And basically, it was a ripoff of Scarface character. And Vince McMahon, in the meeting, didn't know who the hell Scarface was or Tony Montana was. Vince never heard of him. I don't know how that's possible. Vince McMahon, don't you watch movies? That's weird. But he never heard of Scarface. Great movie, by the way. In my opinion, Scott Hall played Razor Ramon better than Tony Montana did. Seriously. Razor Ramon could have won fucking Oscars in Hollywood for the Razor Ramon character, in my opinion, because he played it so damn well. I mean, I really thought with his accent, I really thought he was Hispanic. And he wasn't. I don't believe. I mean, God damn, the clothes that Razor wore when he debuted, those bright, colorful shirts. That was the 90s, basically, the style of the 90s. And blue pants and, I mean, pink pants, pink shoes, or whatever they were. I don't know if they were alligator shoes, but Razor Ramon was fucking cool. He had style. He talked cool. He looked like a badass that could kick your ass. He had it all. As he would like say, I'm oozing machismo. Well, Razor Ramon was oozing charisma and oozing money. Money was just oozing off of him. And my God, Vince and WWF probably made a ton off Razor and his merchandise. God, he was so great. His Razor Ramon, he was so great. Again, he was better than Tony Montana at playing the Razor Ramon character. He should have won an Oscar for that. Pro wrestlers do not get enough credit for how good they are as actors. They don't get enough credit. They're great fucking actors. A lot of them. And finally, Hollywood, I think, realizes it with The Rock and John Cena killing it, and Peacemaker and Batista killing it. Wrestlers are good fucking actors. And my God, Razor Ramon was one of the best wrestling characters of all time. One of the best. So entertaining. When he debuted, he was a heel. Again, he had so many great catchphrases before Hey Yo. He had oozing machismo, the bad guy. I'm the bad guy. He actually said that when he was a Diamond Stud. He would look at the camera and say, I'm the bad guy. And he would do that and do that shake with his arms. He would do that as a Diamond Stud, I believe. Or maybe started that as Razor. So good as a heel. He came in, he had great promos with that accent and Razor Ramon character. It was so great. Look for his old promos. They were awesome as a heel. You'd say when he took on Bret Hart as a heel at Royal Rumble 93, he had great promos. Leading up to that, one of his famous catchphrases, I'm going to carve you up. Take the toothpick out, throw it at the camera. That was so damn good. He came up with the toothpick. I don't have a toothpick, but I'll use this for an example, a pen cap. Put it in his mouth. Oh man, it's so good. So many stories before I get to his career. He had a long career. He wrestled in 4 decades. In this one, again, I grew up watching him, seeing Razor and Scott Hall in his prime. I saw him at a live event, house show, in 95. I think it was June or July, 95. I still have the damn ticket stub, actually. Let me see if I can find it. So I know it's in this thing. Let me just try to tell you the date of the show. There's so many tickets here, a ton of them, from just going to shows and Monday Night Raws and pay-per-views, live events, house shows. Here's a Raw from 2003 ticket. Here's a Monday Night Raw from December 2001. Well, let me try to find that 1995 ticket. No, 1995, hard to believe. It's almost 30 years ago. My God. 27 years ago? That's crazy. I have so many tickets here, so I'll be back in a second when I find it. So I found the ticket stub to the 1995 house show where I saw Razor Ramon in person, in action for the first time. Here's some other ticket stubs. Shows I've been to. Taboo Tuesday, 2004. Monday Night Raw, 2006, Road to right after WrestleMania. Or after WrestleMania 22, I believe. There's another Road to WrestleMania show. Monday Night Raw, January 2004. There's our King of the Ring ticket stub. The writing of the King of the Ring name wore off, so I wrote it in there, but here's the King of the Ring, 96 ticket stub. See the date, it says June, Sunday, June. Here's the house show was from June 2nd, 95, World Tour de D-Force, live event house show. Again, I had to write the name on there because it wore off. This ticket, by the way, was $16 only. Back in 95, prices were cheaper. So anyways, when I first saw Razor in 95 at that house show, it was a ladder match for the IC title. I think it was for the IC title. Maybe it wasn't a ladder match. I don't remember, but I know it was Razor Ramon against Sid. So that was awesome to see Razor in action, in person. Also, I saw him also at No Way Out, 2002, when the NWO returned. He didn't wrestle, but it was still great to see him. So, let me just, this thing is not, I gotta type in his name, because Google keeps erasing the web page I opened. So many articles and news stories about Scott Hall passing. I can't believe it's true, but sadly it is. The guy, growing up, looking back on it, the guy was a wrestling hero of mine. He was one of my favorites. Razor Ramon was definitely one of my favorite guys to watch. And one of my favorite wrestlers, it was Razor, it was Shawn Michaels and Razor. I liked both of them a lot. They were my favorite wrestlers growing up. So this tribute show, man, it just breaks my heart. But I gotta do it and pay my respects to the great Scott Hall. So many articles about him. TMZ, I don't really give a crap about them, but they reported on it. CNN just put up a page about him passing. ESPN.com. Just so many. CBS Sports. LA Times. Just so many articles about Scott Hall passing, because the guy was a big fucking deal. Not just in pro wrestling, but he was known worldwide. The NWO, these shirts, these 3 letters are known worldwide, not just by wrestling fans. If a non-wrestling fan saw this shirt, they'd probably know it, that it's from wrestling or something to do with the wrestling. So Scott Hall. Now I'm going to talk about his career. He had a great career, one of the best. Sadly, I can't believe it, he was never a world champion. He was for a smaller like territory, little companies, but not the major companies. He was born October 20th, 1958. Sadly, passed away March 14th, 2022. Age 63 years old. That's way too young. I know he did a lot of partying. I know he had a lot of demons. he definitely had an addiction problem, sadly. My father had an addiction problem, and my uncle, and they both died in their early 40s. So addiction will kill you fast. So if you're addicted to drugs or alcohol, stop, because that shit will kill you. But yeah, 63, way too young. Has 2 children. So he debuted in wrestling. He was actually trained by Hiro Matsuda. I never knew that. He debuted in 1984 in October. That's crazy. I believe he worked for, in the beginning of his career, before he was in the AWA, he worked for, I believe, Championship Wrestling from Florida. And probably many other places. But he was a world champion for small companies, WWC, Universal Heavyweight Champion, and he's a USWA Unified World Heavyweight Champion. So he began in the NWA territories, 84 and 85. He was in Florida, Championship Wrestling from Florida, where he would feud with Dusty Rhodes. That's a hell of a start to your career. And Dan Spivey and him trained together under Dusty in Florida. And he was also trained with Mike Rotundo and Barry Windham. Let's go on to the AWA, where he was in the AWA from 1985 to 1989. And he was known in the AWA because when he had that big mustache, he did look like a damn movie star. And he was jacked, and he looked like a movie star. He looked like Tom Selleck. And Tom Selleck, the actor, had the famous TV show, what the hell is it called? Something P.I. I can't think of the name of it. Magnum P.I. I think Magnum P.I. TV show. So Scott Hall kind of looked like him, so they started calling him Magnum. He wrestled as Magnum Scott Hall. And then later he became Big Scott Hall. And he was a babyface. He had, he wound up, Vern Gagne wanted to push Scott Hall to wrestle the likes of Hulk Hogan, but Hogan left. And Vern Gagne then got Scott Hall to use the mannerisms and similar moves that Hogan did. And then Scott Hall wrestled several matches in New Japan Pro Wrestling between 87 and 90. Hall formed a tag team in the AWA. They were damn good also. Damn good tag team with Kurt Hennig, as they would become the AWA Tag Team Champions when they defeated Jimmy Garvin and Steve Regal for the AWA Tag Titles January 18th, 1986 in a 58-minute match. And the tag champs, Scott Hall, Kurt Hennig, would feud and have matches with Buddy Rhodes and Doug Summers, Boris Zukov and Norm, the Barbarian, Bill and Scott Irwin. They lost the titles by countout, which sounds really stupid. Hall and Kurt Hennig parted ways. Hall got several title shots at the AWA World Heavyweight title against Stan Hansen and Rick Martel when they were the champs. So on to WCW in 1989. He was still Big Scott Hall, or Gator Scott Hall is what they called him. So he was he was a part of Great American Bash 89 pay-per-view. They had a 2-ring battle royal, and a young Scott Hall was in it. So, he didn't do much in WCW in '89. Let's see here. So, he had tryouts. I didn't know this either. In WWF, he had some tryouts in '87 and '90. So, Hall received a tryout for wrestling, a match on Wrestling Challenge, I think in 1990. But Scott Hall was defeated by Paul Roma and was not signed to the company. Went back to New Japan in 1990, where he wrestled a couple times, and he wrestled Bam Bam Bigelow and Norm the Barbarian and others. So let's get to when he went back to WCW. He also went to WWC in Puerto Rico. But his return to WCW in 1991. So he made his return, and he was renamed the Diamond Stud. His gimmick looked similar to Rick Rude. I didn't think so, but whatever. He came to the ring where with the manager DDP, Diamond Dallas Page. They go way back. And that's what sucks. I mean, Scott Hall had the Click. Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, Triple H. 1, 2, 3 Kid. Scott Hall, the Click. Just Incredible also could be part of the Click if you wanted to say he was in it. But, man. DDP, Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, all the guys in the Click gotta be fucking heartbroken. And I feel for them. My thoughts are with them. My thoughts go out to Scott Hall's family and his children. So DDP would make an announcement and have an attractive woman come out from the crowd. This was funny shit. And Scott Hall had like rip away pants and suspenders. A woman would rip off his pants. That always made me laugh. So he was a part of, as a Diamond Stud, he was a part of where he made his first appearance, Super Brawl 1. He was also part of Clash of Champions 15. He's part of Great American Bash 91. He's part of Halloween Havoc, Chamber of Horrors match. And then he's a part of Clash of Champions 17. And then he's gone. I think he got released. Actually, he got injured. So he could not be a part of Starrcade 91. He entered 1992 with short-lived tag teams with Vinny Vegas, Kevin Nash, and Scotty Flamingo, Raven. Is part of the Diamond Mind stable. And that stable actually could have got over if they would have been pushed, but they never pushed the Diamond Mind. So he's still in WCW in April 92 when he had 2 television matches against Dustin Rhodes. So then after that he left WCW. About a month later, June or July, he got a tryout and WWF hired him, finally. He joined the WWF in, I think, he had a dark match in May 92. But I want to say more like July, August, he was probably hired, of 92. He had a Razor Ramon gimmick put on him. He came up with it after getting the idea from the Scarface movies. He had the nickname The Bad Guy, Razor Ramon. Such a great nickname. And a catchphrase, say hello to the bad guy. Say hello to my little friends and say goodnight to the bad guy. So during a meeting with Vince, he discussed this in his shoot interview. Later, he pitched the idea of a Scarface-like character, and Vince McMahon, Pat Patterson, as a joke. He pitched it as a joke. He quoted the lines from the movie in a Cuban accent, and gave ideas for the vignettes that were recreated. Several of the film scenes, such as driving around South Florida and stuff like that. And Scott Hall says Vince McMahon and Patterson were floored by the idea and called him a genius. Again, how could they have not seen Scarface? But they did not. So just what a run he had in WWF. My God. He was a heel for the end of 92 and fall of 92. He's a heel. He had a big major matchup at Survivor Series 92 where Razor Ramon teamed with Ric Flair against Mr. Perfect and Randy Savage. That was a big deal. Then he go into 93, Royal Rumble, challenged Bret Hart for the world title. And then he made his WrestleMania debut after the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania 9 against Bob Backlund. And the commentary was so great by Bobby Heenan. He was calling Bob Backlund Opie and putting him down. So then May 17th, this was a big fucking deal. Props, mad respect to Scott Hall for doing this and putting over younger guys that probably would have never got a shot with Vince. Seriously, I don't think 1, 2, 3 Kid would have been hired if Razor didn't put him over and probably get the idea to put him over in a shocking upset. May 17th, 93 episode of Monday Night Raw. He lost to the Kid. He was called the Kid. And everybody just thought the Kid was a job guy to lose. Because Raw had a lot of squash matches in 93. But then he defeated Razor and became the 1, 2, 3 Kid. And he feuded with him until the King of the Ring and after the King of the Ring a little bit. Then he turned babyface. Ted DiBiase did not show respect to Razor, so he turned babyface. SummerSlam 93, Razor Ramon was a full-fledged babyface. Got a great reaction at SummerSlam 93. Again, record-setting, the first Intercontinental Champion to win the title 4 times. First guy ever to do it, Razor Ramon, Scott Hall. He first won the Intercontinental title when he defeated Rick Martel after they were the last two of a 20-man battle royal. Then he started a feud with Shawn Michaels going into WrestleMania 10, of course. One of his most famous wins and classic matches at WrestleMania 10 was the ladder match, HBK Razor. Razor won, got the both titles down, held them up like that on the ladder. It was great. Such a just classic ladder matches. There were ladder matches before. Razor and Shawn. There were ladder matches in Calgary, Stampede Wrestling, and probably other places and territories. But, in my opinion, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon put the ladder match on the map and made it popular as hell into a gimmick match forever. So, yeah, every wrestler that competes in a ladder match today should thank Shawn Michaels and Razor for starting it all and making the ladder match popular. So then, after WrestleMania 10, Razor Ramon would feud with Diesel. And Diesel would win the IC title off Razor on an episode of Superstars in the summer of 94, going into SummerSlam 94. Razor, with Walter Payton in his corner, took on Diesel with Shawn Michaels. That was a great IC title match, I remember. So going into 95, he would feud with Jeff Jarrett over the IC title, and they had a really good match at WrestleMania 11. So again, I mean, Razor was just so great as IC champ. So great as a babyface chasing the IC title. And he was a great champion. So after, let's go to 96, he took on Goldust at Royal Rumble. Lost the title when 1-2-3 Kid attacked him. Razor was originally scheduled to take on Goldust for the title in a Miami street fight at WrestleMania 12, but Scott Hall was suspended 6 weeks for drug use. I don't know what the drugs were. If it was marijuana, that's a joke. That's not a fucking drug to me, in my opinion. I don't smoke, but marijuana is not a drug. So I don't know if they suspended him for finding weed or what, but they shouldn't have, for weed. Nobody should get suspended from their job for weed. So then he returned to WWF, and he was at April's In Your House 96, In Your House 7, and he lost to Vader. I don't even remember that matchup. Vader and Razor, that could have been great. I'll have to watch it back. So then his final show was at MSG. He was part of the Curtain Call, the famous fucking Curtain Call, where baby faces and heels at the time, but they were all 4 best friends in a cage, all held each other's arms up, basically to say goodbye to Razor and Diesel, because they were jumping to WCW. They all held each other's hands up in a cage. And a lot of old timers and Vince and people backstage are all pissed off. I wasn't upset about it when I saw it. I thought it was cool as a kid. It was like heels and faces coming together, hugging. It was awesome. So then he went to, then he went to WCW. And, my God, his first appearance on WCW was unannounced promo, May 27th, 96. He came out of the crowd in street clothes. And he says they were going to do a takeover of WCW. That was later on. That was June 10th, 96. He went up to the announce table to Bischoff and said they were going to do a hostile takeover of WCW. So just, my God. Scott Hall is so great. I'm going to give you some of the, and then after WCW, sadly wasn't around much. After February 99, I don't know if he had to go to rehab, but he was not around. 2000, he was barely around. I know he's at Super Brawl 2000, and then he's gone the rest of the year. again, I don't know what he's dealing with. I don't remember. But Peacock has a Razor Ramon, the story of Scott Hall DVD on there. I'm going to have to watch it again. So now I'm going to tell you about his, all the titles he held and his accomplishments. AWA Tag Team Champion, DDT Pro Wrestling Iron Man Heavyweight Champion, Pro Wrestling Illustrated Match of the Year in '94 with Shawn Michaels, a ladder match, WrestleMania 10, Most Improved Wrestler 1992, Tag Team of the Year with Kevin Nash as the Outsiders in 1997, ranked number 7 in the top 500, PWI 500 in 94. In my opinion, Scott Hall was such a great wrestler. The guy was hot. Should have been lower than number 7. In 94, 95, he was in his prime. He was at least top 5 wrestlers in the world, in my opinion. In the United States, Razor Ramon was definitely in the top 5 wrestlers, not number 7. TNA, actually, he was a TNA Tag Team Champion with Kevin Nash and Eric Young. USWA Heavyweight Champ. WCW World TV Champion. And United States Champion twice. Tag Team Champion 7 times with Kevin Nash and the Giant once. Actually won the Battle Royal, the 60-man 3-ring Battle Royal. Scott Hall won it in 1997. Won World War III. That's awesome. That's a part of his career. He would go on to get a world title match against Sting at, I believe, Spring Stampede or Uncensored 98. And Scott Hall and Sting had a great match also. Scott Hall has discussed it in shoot interviews. Many others have brought it up too. But this is big. Scott Hall helped not just 1, 2, 3 Kid. Basically made his career. And made 1, 2, 3 Kid a made man to be a top star in wrestling. But Scott fucking Hall gave the idea to Sting and said, have you ever seen, before Sting was a Crow, said to Sting, have you ever seen the movie The Crow? You should watch it, check it out, and maybe take that Crow character. Instead of painting your face all colorful, just drop that gimmick and become the Crow. And he did. Sting became the Crow. Probably, I guarantee you, probably because Scott Hall gave him the idea to watch the Crow. And then he took the Crow gimmick. And my God, it was super over. That is, the Crow and Sting forever can, I hope forever thanks Scott Hall for that. Because he came up with it. Not the movie, but he told Sting, watch the Crow movie, and gave him the idea, or told Sting you should change your gimmick to the Crow because the business is changing and the characters are more realistic in real life, not cartoon bullshit little kid characters. The business definitely changed in 96 and definitely 97 and 98. And Sting needed to change with the times, and Scott Hall gave him the idea to watch the Crow and change with the times, and it fucking worked. Big time. So, again, he won World War III in 97. He was a WWC Caribbean Heavyweight Champion once, and WWC Universal Heavyweight Champion once. Intercontinental Champion 4 times. Hall of Famer twice. 2-time Hall of Famer. That's how good Scott Hall was. You got guys like Ric Flair, 2-time Hall of Famer. Shawn Michaels. two-time Hall of Famer Kevin Nash, two-time Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan, two-time Hall of Famer. Those guys are elite. And Scott Hall was elite. Two-time Hall of Famer once is Razor Ramon. Second time as a member of the NWO. So class of 2014 and class of 2020 under Scott Hall. He won Slammy Awards for Most Spectacular Match in '94 versus Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 10, and Match of the Year in 1995 versus Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam. I love that second ladder match with Shawn Michaels Razor in '95 at SummerSlam. I fucking love that second ladder match they did. I thought it was great. Really good. And still holds up as an awesome ladder match in my opinion. Wrestling Observer Newsletter Match of the Year in '94. Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 10. Best gimmick in 1996 as a member of the NWO, but he wasn't a gimmick, he was himself. And also he won Most Disgusting Promotional Tactic in '98 when WCW exploited his alcoholism in a gimmick. That was stupid, that was wrong. It should never happen, in my opinion. Even if Scott Hall was agreed. I don't know if Bischoff came up with it or who, but that was wrong. That crossed the line. So my guy, he's had an epic career. Just Scott Hall. What a career. The bad guy, Razor Ramon. The Outsider, Scott Hall. What a fucking career he has had. I'm going to give you a couple of facts or more stuff about his career. Part of WrestleManias. He was part of WrestleManias at WrestleMania 9, 10, 11, and 18. He came up with so many epic catch phrases. Hey, yo, I'm the bad guy. Who's better looking than 10 movie stars? Or who's 6'6" better looking than 10 movie stars? And he was talking about himself. He'd do It's Survey Time. That was so great. So entertaining. It's Survey Time. Who are you here to see and cheer? WCW, get a lot of boos, or the NWO, and the crowd would pop every time. I mean, No Way Out, 2002, I'll remember that forever because I was there live when the NWO and Scott Hall returned to the WWF. I can't believe it. The first, one of the original first NWO members, probably the first, definitely was. Scott Hall should be credited to starting the Monday Night War and getting WCW to be #1 because he kicked it all off. With that promo in his debut on Nitro, he started it all. He started the Monday Night War, and he got WCW to go on top over the WWF and be the #1 company in the United States. Also, Hogan deserves credit too for turning heel. But Scott Hall was the first guy we saw on our TV talk about an invasion. They're going to take over WCW in the start of the NWO storyline. Scott Hall was the first guy there. And then Kevin Nash came. And then at Bash at the Beach, Hulk Hogan came. But man, it sucks. It is so sad that, I mean, at future, like, wrestling conventions, you will never have the NWO together. You will never have the Outsiders together again for an autograph or a picture. Scott Hall, original, groundbreaking, innovative talent. And my guy was so innovative with his finish, the Razor's Edge. That was innovative. I've never seen that done before by anybody before he did it. Maybe in Japan, but I didn't watch Japanese wrestling as a kid. I saw Razor Ramon, Diamond Stud do the Razor's Edge. My mind was blown. I was like, holy fuck. I've never seen that move. It's awesome. Never again. This sucks. Never again will you have, they won't ever see each other again. Never at a signing, never in person again will you have the original NWO members. Apologize, I dropped one of my figures. Never again will you have the original NWO together. The first guy, sadly, to pass away from the NWO is Scott Hall. Never again will he get to be with his brother, Kevin Nash, as the Outsiders at a signing. Never again will you get to have Hall, or Hogan, Hall, and Nash together for an appearance anywhere. Just forget about wrestling. Forget about the business that the Outsiders can never be together again to make money. As all Hall of Famers, they should be allowed to make a lot of money. At the signings, they do because they're fucking Hall of Famers. And they were in the original NWO. This shirt, these 3 letters, to wrestling fans, it fucking means something. It definitely does to me. It was one of the greatest times to be a fan. And my God, the NWO was groundbreaking and innovative. And Scott Hall kicked it all off when he debuted. With that promo. You know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. You want to call him Razor Ramon, want to call him Scott Hall. The guy was absolutely great. He was greatness in pro wrestling. He was so great as Razor, and damn, he was great as Scott Hall in the NWO. So never again will you see these 2 guys together. That sucks. Or Kevin Nash. I have Kevin Nash figures, but not with me. So, again, he's a 2-time Hall of Famer. Well deserved. He actually was part of NWA TNA's first pay-per-views in 2002. He's a part of the first 4 TNA pay-per-views because I ordered all 4 of them to basically see him. He's in a battle royal on the first TNA show. Then, like the future shows, I believe he wrestled Jeff Jarrett. They had a really good match. Came back to TNA in 2004 when they started their Sunday pay-per-views. He was there in 2004, or at the beginning of 2005. Again, he wrestled 4 decades, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and he did wrestle in 2010, but not for long. First ever 4-time Intercontinental Champion. His greatest feuds and opponents, in my opinion, were Kevin Nash, Diesel, 1-2-3 Kid. And these are his greatest opponents and feuds. Not really matches, but Diesel, 1-2-3 Kid, Kevin Nash, Bret Hart, Royal Rumble 93, King of the Ring 93 versus Bret. Those were great matches. Versus Rick Martel on Raw in 93. Those were great matches. Versus HBK, in my opinion, was his greatest opponent. Razor's and Scott Hall's greatest opponent was Shawn Michaels, to me. He also had great matches with Just 1-2-3 Kid, HBK, DDP, Sting, Kevin Nash, Diesel, Bret Hart, Scott Hall, you were the fucking man. And it's so sad you're gone. It's horrible how he passed away. That it was complications from a surgery that was supposed to make him feel better. And he ended up passing. Also, Chris Candido, I believe, after a surgery, he went on an airplane and got a blood clot, I believe, and died after a surgery he had. He shouldn't have been flying, but he did. Or he didn't know he'd get sick. I don't know. But I think Chris Candido passed away from complications from surgery or a blood clot. But my final thought, I'm really grateful I got to see Scott Hall live wrestle as Razor. And tonight's Monday Night Raw, I actually did a tribute video. It was great. I watched it. I broke up. Tears ran down my face. It was horrible. I mean, the guy's done so much for wrestling. In the 90s, definitely was part of wrestling when it was at its most popular in its peak during the NWO. The tribute video WWE did was great, but very hard to watch because he just passed away today. As Kevin Nash explained on Instagram, his family said they would take him off life support. I don't know why they couldn't leave him on life support a little bit longer. Maybe he would have came back. But it was his family's decision. I believe Ric Flair was in a coma on life support for like 10 days. And he came back. So maybe Scott Hall could have. This one, again, it really hurts. Because the guy was an original NWO member. And he was Razor Ramon. Iconic WWF gimmick in the 90s. It wasn't cheesy. It was a cool-ass gimmick. The bad guy. It was great. It was groundbreaking. It was great for wrestling. Razor Ramon and Scott Hall were great for wrestling. And as a fan of his two characters, Scott Hall and Razor, as a fan of his, I just want to say thank you, Scott Hall. Thank you for bringing me a lot of joy and happiness growing up, watching you as a kid, and becoming a teenager, and being a fan of the NWO, and my mind being blown at what the NWO was doing on Monday nights. I was in heaven as a fan. In my childhood and going into being a teenager, as a wrestling fan was just filled with so much happiness and joy that it brought me in my life. I mean, during tough times, I lost my uncle, I lost my father. When I was growing up watching Razor and Scott Hall, and I mean, I looked up to all these wrestlers as a kid. Not having a father, I looked at all these wrestlers as father figures and just idols and heroes of mine. Scott Hall, you were one of the best of all time. You had the look, you had the charisma, you could talk, and you could work. Sadly, you were never a world champ. You should have been at least a WCW champion. I mean, for fuck's sake, they gave the world title to David Arquette and Vince Russo. So Scott Hall, I think, is better than those two guys. He should have held it. But final thought. Just rest in peace, Scott Hall. Rest in peace, bad guy.